ever.
Actually, it was my favorite.
You never know which moments will be the ones they remember forever. So take time to be a dad today. Learn more at 1-877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
WOKB, Winter Garden, Orlando.
Welcome to Real Family Talk with your host, Jay Real, where we talk about real issues facing us today. Enjoy the show. Real Family Talk. Hello. Welcome to another week of Real Family Talk. This is your host, Jay Real. Oh, it's Tuesday night, y'all. It's Real Family Talk. I'm excited, as always, to be back in the building to discuss some of the news going on in the world today. Joining me this week, I have a lot of the regulars joining me this week. One is missing, but we love you, Miss Monica. But Jeremy's in the building. How you doing tonight, Jeremy?
I'm good. What's going on, everybody?
Oh, and Miss McCrae's back in the building. How we doing, Miss McCrae?
Hey, I'm well. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well myself. And Mr. Mikey King is back there on the boards tonight. How we doing tonight, Mr. Mikey King?
All right. I'm doing great today.
Oh, awesome. Remember, you can always join in on these conversations. 407-894-1680 is the number. 407-894-1680 is the number. Also, remember to check us out on the webpage, realfamilytalk.weebly.com, realfamilytalk.weebly.com. We do some blogging on there. A lot of interesting things I like to post up with the blogs. The latest one that has to do with the NFL. The NFL had a great week this week. Unfortunately, the Steelers lost.
They did. They got
one little tear for that. But
Peyton Manning pulled out the slicer and just cut them all up.
Yes, Peyton Manning sliced us apart a little bit, but that's okay. It's just week one. It's just one loss.
I still want to give a shout out to number 78 for the Steelers, Max Starks,
Max.
Florida native. He did a great job. You know, I'm not a Steelers fan, but I'm still a Max Starks fan. Got to give a shout out to him.
Okay. Shout out to Max Starks.
What's
Steelers
up, Max?
all the way. But, they lost. That's okay. But a lot of interesting games. So Philadelphia surprised me, though. I had Mike Vick going for one of the greatest games of the season.
Was they surprised about winning? Or
But yet he had one of the worst games of the season so far. But the blog, though, has to do with Peyton Manning, Tim Tebow, RG3, Andrew Luck. Talking about all four of those gentlemen.
What you saying about Tim Tebow? I mean, how he was on the bench? What you saying about him?
No, actually, I made a comment. There was a gentleman out in L.A. wrote an article that basically suggested he didn't see the reason, based on this first game, he thought the Denver Broncos could have just kept Tim Tebow and not get rid of him and still come up with the same results that they had on the Steelers.
I don't think that had nothing to do with the Tim Tebow could have went somewhere else. That's between Tim and his agent that said, man, we can go to the Jacksonville Jaguars, a Florida team, get paid and ball out. I mean, that's Tim Tebow's fault that he went to the Jets. That was
No. The article was just not criticizing Tim Tebow. They were criticizing the Broncos to suggest that they didn't need to get rid of Tim Tebow in order to have a winning game or a winning season.
How you criticize somebody because they wanted to leave?
No.
He didn't want to leave.
You're missing the point. Of course, I would have wanted to leave after they signed Peyton Manning, but the article is saying that why go after Peyton Manning when you have Tim Tebow? That's what the article is saying. It's saying you should have kept Tim Tebow over Peyton Manning. That's what the article is saying.
Whoever wrote the article is a dummy.
Pretty much.
I'll take Manning over Mr. Tebow.
Exactly, which is the point
any
of the
day.
blog. I broke down Peyton Manning in 15 years into his career. It's still better than a fresh-faced Tim Tebow any day. But yeah, that's what the blog is about. And then RG3, Andrew Luck, they did a lot of comparisons, of course, on Sunday of the two gentlemen. And I took a little issue with the fact how they treated RG3 in that comparison. So go to the website, realfamilytalk.weebly.com. Check it out. There's a lot of other little blogs there as well. Of course, now it is September 11th.
Yes.
Today. And so everybody remembers what happened on September 11th. But I have a question. It is now 11 years later. Is it still necessary to spend an entire day rehashing the exact same news stories that they've been playing for the last 11 years?
I think they need to go ahead
and over again. I mean, is that necessary?
I would say this. I believe what they're eventually going to do is going to become another federal holiday. Eventually, once everything settles down a little bit and Congress or someone in Congress makes it a priority to send that bill through. And I understand why, like a lot of people, I'd have my questions, I guess you would say, with the whole thing. But with the event itself, that's what I mean. I'm not denying that it happened, nothing like that. I'm just questions about who was actually behind it and all that kind of stuff. But outside of that, I really don't see a problem with them airing different things. The thing you have to understand, that is the first act of international terrorism that we've ever experienced on our soil. It was like on our soil, I should say. It's new to us, in the Middle East and other countries. It's a more frequent thing. We were not used to experiencing something like that, especially not taking that amount of people at one time, such a drastic measure. In actuality, it still scares a lot of people that could even happen like that.
Yeah, I think it's necessary. It's not going to go away because there are generations who were kids when it happened, and now they're 10, 11 years old, and they're seeing what really happened. They're understanding this piece of history, American history. So it's going to be every year. It's going to play the same things all day, and I think it's appropriate. It's a tragedy, and especially if you were to lose someone in that situation, you would want to have them remembered as well.
Well, I mean, remembering it is fine, but to me, to play the planes crashing back into the World Trade Center,
what plane?
Or the Twin Towers, the actual planes that crashed into the Twin Towers.
There were no planes that crashed into the Twin Towers.
All right.
I don't want to discuss the conspiracy.
Okay.
Oh, okay. But we all know there were no planes, and that's my only problem with it. If you're gonna do it every year, at least tell the truth about the situation. Like everybody knows the firemen who was down there. If you do your research, there were explosive devices in the Twin Towers. There were no planes. I'm sorry.
Well, regardless of the conspiracy nature to it, is it really necessary?
Hold on. No. Hold on, please.
Let's
1
move
second.
on.
1 second.
Please.
There wasn't no planes. Now, whatever you believe about explosive devices anywhere.
I'm not saying that there weren't planes.
Okay, that's
but
all.
there
Okay.
were not
that's
planes
that's
that brought down that entire.
That's the only
building.
thing I want to
Okay.
clarify.
Oh,
but there were planes.
It was a plane.
Okay, that's all. Okay, that's the only thing I wanted to clarify.
The real plane. But that's my point. You do have people who lost people in this. Is that something that you want to see every once a year? Do you want to see a reminder of what happened to them? To me, I mean, recognizing it is one thing, but playing the exact same news stories once a year, every year, it just seems a little repetitive to me, and unnecessary.
Well, I would say this. This is what is amazing to me. How come every year they find another story to tell?
But they're not. They're telling the same story.
No. This is what I'm saying. I'm not talking about like major media. I mean, if you watch like stuff like History Channel, those little more specific cable channels, is always some new program and some little small story that they find to tell every year. It's just always something. Stuff like that actually, to me, makes it a little more interesting because, it's affected so many people and so many things are going on. That right there makes it a little more interesting. No, I don't want to see footage of it happen again. Me personally, I don't want to see that. I have no problem showing footage of people saving lives and things like that. But I do like seeing like little, just little small things that be happening. This person was supposed to go down there that day. This happened. They didn't go.
Those kind of real life.
Yeah, I'm talking about real life
experience.
Right. That stuff. I like hearing that stuff.
I would like to hear the truth.
What is the truth?
The truth. Do we need to talk about the truth? Because I've seen different stories on History Channel that they talk about how different firemen were down on the ground when it was the second explosion. They had different reporters that were down on the ground. They have different stories, like you say, every year of somebody who comes out and tells the truth about the situation that went down. I want to hear, Condoleezza's story. I want to hear the Secretary of Defense story. That's the stories that I really want to hear. I'm waiting for the movie to come out. You know how they tell the movie, it's telling you the truth, but it's really not telling you what's going on about, that's what I'm really waiting on, and that's what I want to see.
Well, I'll give you this. I'll give you my whole theory on that, and I've always believed this, that a man in a cave, thousands and thousands of miles away, I believe he can organize the project. I don't believe he can execute the project with his own organization, especially when admittedly the people that did commit these heinous acts were amateurs at best. And so the questions that I'd like to see is, what were the other entities involved in order to bring this thing to fruition? And unfortunately, that is a question that will not be answered truthfully. I don't think ever, truthfully. If it is ever answered, it would be 50, 60, 70 years from now,
right?
Before that story
passed and nobody else can get in trouble.
Exactly. Before that story will be released. As far as hearing from some of the officials that were in office at the time, unless they told that story to their grandkids or somebody, that story is also going to die with those individuals when go to the grave with those individuals when they die. So that was one of my disappointments about the whole killing of Osama bin Laden. I felt like now you really can't interrogate him and find out what he really knows. But I understand. But I understand why they shot him, and unfortunately, though, it seems to be a little issue surrounding that with this new SEAL book out. There's some questions surrounding actually how he was shot and killed now, apparently.
Who, Osama?
Yeah, Osama bin Laden.
I'm not a believer of Osama bin Laden personally. It's so easy for me to Photoshop anybody, so I'm pretty sure it's easy to get a man with a turban and a beard.
He was a man.
Okay, let me say this. Osama bin Laden did exist. What I don't believe, if they killed that man, put him on a raft and set him on fire and put him out there in the water. I don't believe that.
Like he was a king or something? Because
No. I'm just saying, I just don't think we took it upon ourselves to do that. I just don't see them just releasing bodies like that. That's all I'm saying.
America.
Like he's secretly still alive and they're like interrogating him quietly.
He's the Muslim Tupac.
We've done less miraculous stuff.
I believe you. We don't know everything, and we're never going to, and we're not supposed to. Honestly.
No, and we're not. And I think it is in our best interest not to always know everything.
Yeah.
Because the truth is very scary.
Mm-hmm.
And America, this country runs because we don't know the full truth. That's why. You see, in a lot of other countries, they know the full truth. That's why their countries are in so much turmoil, because they see the hypocrisy every day, and it's hard for a lot of, especially, we have so many people too, especially a small group of people. It's hard for them to live with that type of hypocrisy and all that stuff and just sit there. That's why all these countries have a lot of revolutions and things like that.
That's the balance that I respect about the government. That's like I say, they do a lot of foul stuff, but they keep a balance, and I can respect that one thing about the government.
407-894-1680 is the number. 407-894-1680
Call in.
Is the number if you want to join in on these conversations. Remember, but hopefully, I hope one day at least we can move past the rehashing of the entire story, and just move to some type of remembrance. Because you want to recognize this day, but I just don't think you need to show every thing that happened over the course of that particular day over and over again, because you can discuss it without necessarily seeing the pictures themselves. But we remember all of those that died in 9/11 2001. But we will move on. 407-894-1680 is the number. 407-894-1680 is the number. What I wanted to get into today, though, was I wanted to kind of recap what we saw last week with the Democratic National Convention. And so I know a lot of the listeners out there, I don't know that you watched the whole thing, but I'm pretty sure come Thursday last week, you were glued to the television, if you could, to hear the great. Is it all right if I call him great, Miss McCray?
You know what?
Is that cool?
We don't need the sarcasm.
There's no sarcasm.
The wonderful.
Wonderful. Okay, is that the word I should be using?
Our president.
Sweetness.
Mr.
President Barack Obama.
Thank you.
Call him what you want, as long as you call him president.
President.
So yes, I'm sure a lot of people were tuned in to see President Obama speak. Another speech that I believe also caught a lot of traction was former President Bill Clinton. His speech caught a lot of traction as well. So a lot of people tuned into that. So where I want to start, just some general comments I've found in watching the Democratic National Convention. The one thing that surprised me the most is the whole issue related to recognition of God within the platform. That whole thing and how that transpired surprised me. For those that don't know and missed it, apparently initially it was decided that God would not be a part of the Democratic National Convention platform. And then after the first evening of the convention, Tuesday night, a lot of the political pundits, granted they mostly were Republican-related pundits, basically started criticizing them as it relates to not having God in the platform. The other issue they took was not recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, was another issue that was a big deal. And then so come Tuesday, of course, now that they caught all this flack for not having God in the platform, it was suggested that the president apparently stepped up and put some pressure on the people that ran the convention and said we needed to include it. And so they brought it to a vote on the platform floor. And pretty much the vote almost split down even. And so when the person in charge said that they would include it back in, there was almost this uproar to say, whoa, why are you doing that? Why is that necessary? Blah, 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 blah. Which, like, really? 2012, God in a platform of the convention is like an issue? Like, what is that about? Has the Democratic community gone to the point where they're like, yeah, we don't need no God, man. What you need to recognize God for? I mean, what is it, a bunch of atheists? I mean, what's going on here?
No.
You know, and again, I don't think, you know, to each his own, but it just surprises me that would be this big time issue at the convention, recognizing God as a part of the Democratic platform. I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think? 407-894-1680 if you want to comment. 407-894-1680.
Well, I would say this. I do believe that with the Democratic Party in general, it is the quote unquote the liberal party, and a lot of I'm sure a lot of people in the party, either they don't believe in God or they're, you know, they got this new word now, they're people not religious, they spiritual. So you know whatever that means. It's like I believe somebody, I just don't know if it's God, you know, whatever that means. But and I think there is that push. That is one issue I do have with the party. And like you said, it is split down the middle because there are a lot of us, I do say us, that still do believe in God, most definitely believe in God, and do believe he still has a place in the Pledge of Allegiance, on our money, and in different places that we already have him. And I'm not for the whole, you know, movement. A lot of people are trying to remove him from certain instances and the national monuments and things like that. But I believe there's a good faction out there, and whether they're atheists, I'm not exactly sure, but you know, a lot of people just, you know, they just really they're really not religious anymore. They really don't feel like, you know, God is an integral part of their life or is a difference in their life.
Okay, so you think this is kind of a natural progression, at least for the Democratic Party?
I don't think
perhaps?
necessarily for the party in general. I say for certain people who might be creeping toward the top of leadership and people are trying to push their agenda through, but I wouldn't say the party. Because as you say, if it's split down the middle, you know, you still got another half down there that's like, hold on now. You know, we for giving, you know, gave people the right to get married and everything, but don't think I still ain't no God-fearing person. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, all right. Anybody else want to make some comments on that? 407-894-1680 is the number.
I think it's part of the country, too. It came out in the Democratic Convention, but as a whole, the country is changing with saying prayers at schools and the Pledge of Allegiance, those things. I didn't expect it to be an issue. Like you said, I was like, okay, well, this is interesting. But other than that, I think there were more pressing events that went on during the convention that we can discuss, too. I'm excited about First Lady. The First Lady was amazing.
Okay, well, we'll move on. Miss McCray wants to talk about the First Lady. Please tell us about the First Lady, Miss McCray. Tell me about the First Lady.
She was fantastic. She made me so proud to be an African-American woman. Yet, she still reached everybody. I think every woman, every man, anybody who watched her and listened to her, you had to be moved. Even you, J. Real, you had to be moved.
I mean, yeah, she had a great speech. It was a great speech that she gave at the convention. And you know, it goes without saying that she is very well received by everyone. I don't know very few people who have a real issue per se with the First Lady, Michelle Obama. She knows how to handle herself very well. Very well. I think even for a lot of people, they like her, you know, or her, you know, who she is a lot more than some of the to the president, for instance. So
yeah,
I definitely agree that, you know, she kind of carries the weight to kind of approve him, if you will.
Yeah, I think she's I think she's played a more important role than any First Lady ever, because she is so likable, and as much as problems you might have with President Obama, you can't not like her. You know, she's not around parading the country with just irrelevant causes. You know what I'm saying? And just saying idiotic stuff. I mean, she's really out really doing something. Like I really like the fact what she's doing about trying to get the kids healthy. That's
the Let's Move initiative. I love that.
Yeah, that's very, very important.
Did you cry during the speech, Miss McCray?
I didn't cry. No,
you didn't cry?
I didn't cry. I just was.
I know a lot of women that cried.
Yeah, I just was very proud.
You got misty-eyed.
Just proud. Just watching her proud. I can see myself in her. That this woman who came from humble beginnings, like many of us, parents raised her and her brother well, and now she's the First Lady of the United States. Are you kidding me?
That is one thing that's still it's still kind of breathtaking when you look up and you see that the President of the United States and President Obama and Michelle walk out. It's like, wow,
yes,
this is real.
It's
we not
real.
dreaming, y'all. I know when we was young, we used to kid, man, we ain't gonna never see no black president.
Ever.
We used to say that all the time.
Yes, we say that all the time.
You'll never see that in our lifetime. Y'all tripping. Y'all tripping.
I think that was even a skit on the Dave Chappelle show, but it'll never be no black president.
It's crazy.
We didn't think that we would see this in our generation at all. Thought we'd be in the 80s or 90s before we actually saw an African American president.
And like I say, that's still just the thing to me that's just so breathtaking about it. When you look, you're like, this is real.
That's what
I
scares me.
wish it happened when I was younger. Maybe I would have been on my way to the White House.
That's what kind of scares me about the situation.
But you still got an opportunity, brother. You're still young enough to get there if that's what you want.
But I think I done nicked some of the qualifications, though.
Not at all, brother. Not
Y'all
at
should
all.
have hollered at me when I was about 25, not 35.
Nah, you good, man. You still got plenty of time. But yeah, she was good. Of course, to me, looking at the convention, I think one of the highlights of their convention was former President Bill Clinton.
Right.
I think while I disagree with about half of the stuff that he said, regardless of that,
surprise.
Regardless of that, I think he still had just the aura that he presents when he goes to a microphone and speaks was just I want to call it breathtaking. I think that's a bit much, but certainly. He brings across. I mean, nobody delivers a speech like Bill Clinton. Tampa, huh? Nobody delivers a speech like Bill Clinton. Yes, he obviously. I mean, there's no Republican candidate ever that could hold a candle to Bill Clinton on a microphone.
Yeah. Or President Obama.
Yes, Bill Clinton is better than President Obama. I agree.
I didn't say that.
Oh, I'm sorry. What did you say?
I said no other Republican hold the microphone to President Obama as well. Is what I said.
Oh, okay.
Now,
certainly,
granted, Bill Clinton is a good speaker.
The candidates that are currently running do not hold
the speeches
a candle
the speeches the president was making on his first election. I thought he was going to start preaching a few of them.
Right.
Yeah, actually, but I'll get to my opinion on this particular speech. But yeah, going back to the Mr. Clinton there, though. I think I just thought his speech, the way he brought it home, the way he revved up the crowd. That was one thing I noticed about the Democratic convention. You could tell that the energy in that room. And the excitement that they had for their particular candidate was certainly a lot more powerful compared to what you saw the previous week in the RNC. They were a lot more into the candidates, their current candidate, President Obama, than the Republicans were. So that energy, and then of course having him there, just kind of revved it up and kind of brought it all together. I give it to him. He delivered an awesome speech, regardless of whether or not I agree with what he said. But yeah, he definitely delivered an awesome speech. What do you think, Miss McCray?
He killed it. That was another moment where I just was like, oh boy, here we go, game changer. When he finished, that's what I thought, game changer. Bill laid it out, dismissed all the naysay and all the mess that's been going on, and he used the word that we've talked about in our program when he talked about people hate President Obama. He said, we can disagree. I can disagree with people with politics and things like that. We disagree and move on, but you all hate this man. And then that goes back to what we've been talking about before, the level of disrespect and hate. It's not even about his politics. When they set out on his first inauguration night, when a group of Republicans set out in a meeting saying that we are going to make sure that nothing that he does passes. That's a meeting. They plan for him to fail. Disrespect and hate.
But my question about that is, I wouldn't be surprised if the Democrats held similar meetings when a particular presidential candidate wins that they don't like. And so, to me, that's all a part of this game.
That hasn't been proven.
That's all a part of this game that they do in politics. Neither one of the political parties wants the other party to truly succeed on every platform, agenda that they have. I'll agree there are some individuals that do have an extra sense of if you will, but this whole idea that I don't want you to succeed, blah blah blah. I think that's all a part of the game. It's of course unfortunately, I just think everything, of course, is just amplified due to the fact that race is an issue because he is a black man. But everything gets amplified. Anything you do related to him gets amplified. It gets amplified 100,000 times. So because of that, we do see this it's been thrown in our face more, I think. But to say that Democrats don't feel the same way when the Republican candidate gets come on, come on,
no,
come on. That's just like I'll give a good example of that right now. If you go online, there's a lot of things going on with people talking about the Koch brothers. and some of the things that they do in relation to supporting the Republican Party. And so, I watched it, and yeah, some of the stuff is a bit shady. Not surprising, though.
A bit?
But I wonder, but again, so we hear that story because everybody, for the most part, most of the media want President Obama to win. So we hear the story about the Koch brothers. My question is, the Democrats have just as, they have supporters and funders that have just as much money as the Koch brothers, So my question becomes, where is that story? Where's that story on those individuals, and what things are they doing in terms of paying off senators and so forth in order to get their agenda across? Both sides do it because Democrats have just as much money as Republicans do. So it's not like there's people in the back ends paying people in order to support whatever agenda that they have. It's just a matter of having a different agenda. But it's not unique that the Koch brothers spend money to support the things that will help their business. That's not unique. There's probably plenty of big spenders on the Democratic side that do exactly the same thing. Yeah, but of course, because we're supporting the president right now, and everybody is on the president's side, and we got to protect them because they're racially motivated with all of this hate towards them.
They are.
We're going to tell that story and make that story a headline, and we'll forget about the Democratic thing right now. Well, come on now. This is a game. Everybody plays the game. Everybody's money in the game is tight. President Obama may have been losing in fundraising, but he's not losing by $50 million. He's losing by $15 million. And in August, he actually beat Mitt Romney. So everybody's got money in the game. Both parties have raised over $500 million in support of their party. So this is not some, Republicans have all this money and Democrats, oh, poor Democrats, they're not going to be able to do nothing.
Let me say this.
It's an even
Let me say this. I don't disagree. I don't disagree that Democrats have as much money as Republicans. But I do think on an overall basis, Republicans control a little more power. But just from the simple fact, and I'm going to say this because you look at a lot of the industries that some of their people control, and not even that. I'm talking about old money. When you're talking about old money, that's a serious thing. And people,
do you really believe that there's more old money that supports Republicans than there is that supports?
Yes, I do believe that.
Yes.
What? There's no evidence
to support that.
You asked me a question and I answered it.
There's no evidence to support that.
There's no evidence to say it's not
evidence.
What history?
It's no evidence to say it isn't either.
It's the good old boy party.
I just believe
the Democratic Party is the good old boy party.
The
yes,
Republicans.
I agree.
The Republicans.
Both of them are the good old boy party.
Old money, just like Jeremy said.
I would say
there is nothing unique about Democrats that aren't in the Republicans. Come on now. Come on. Both of these parties at one point in time supported slavery. Both of these parties at one point in time argued against civil rights. So
I'm not saying they didn't,
none of these parties have some kind of moral high ground over the other when it comes to money, issues, or anything. They're both, yes, at the moment, the Democratic Party is the only one that has a black president. But history?
Talking about the moment.
History says
we
that.
Talking about the moment.
History says that most black people used to be Republican. History says that a lot of Republicans led the civil rights movement. History says that's what history tells us.
That's what history tells us.
Right now, maybe there's a little bit of a shift, but come on now.
Okay, well that's what we're talking
about.
The
Republicans got more money than Democrats.
I didn't say they had more money.
Power.
I said I do believe they have more power, but with the industries, a lot of them, that they're the people that have their money control. When you're talking about oil, when you're talking about media, these are stuff is directly that can throw in your face and stuff that hit you every day.
Fox News is the only media company that has anything negative to say about the president. MSNBC, CNN, Headline News, and every other channel, Current TV, every other channel has supportive people on it that are talking about the greatness of President Obama. So media, come on, y'all.
Yeah.
Come on,
okay,
y'all.
Let's say this.
5 networks support the president, one network doesn't. The media is controlled by Republicans?
Let me say this. I'm not saying the media controlled by Republicans. This is what I'm saying. I'm talking about more power. So if you got 5-1, why is that one competing neck and neck with the 5? When you talking about coverage, why is it they competing neck and neck? When you go turn the TV on, it's like, oh, when you turn the TV on, the first thing you say is, we love Obama. No, most of the time, the first thing you say is, we can't stand him. So what I'm saying is, when you got a 5-1, why is it why is that one running neck and neck with all the 5?
Because there's some people that like what they have to say.
That's what I'm saying. Some power there. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Power.
You know what I'm saying when I say power. Power is not just innate. Just you can explain it.
407-894-1680.
Can't just explain it. Stuff just happens.
407-894-1680 is the
Am
number.
I right, King? Stuff just happens.
It just
It just happens. It's not nothing you explain. Oh well, they have this and they have this. No, but you always see this. Always keep hitting you over the head, hitting you over the head, hitting you over the head.
Yeah.
Right. You just keep hitting you over the head. It's a reason for that.
Yeah, they want to show you guys how much the other side, quote unquote, hates the president, so that will fire you guys up in order to go out and do something about it.
Well,
that's the point.
Okay, well,
that's
but
why you hear about it.
then if the power is great, then why is the race as far as the polling so close? Because it's working.
No,
because if that one network has a very big effect on this country.
No, I think why the race is neck and neck currently is because when you get down to the biggest issue there is, race. Economy and jobs. The economy and jobs. Those are the two biggest issues, and most of the polling suggests when it comes to the economy and jobs, most people feel like the president has a lot of work to do in that particular area.
Right.
As a result, some of them also agree that perhaps Mitt Romney can do a better job. And so because you have that dichotomy that we've seen what you can do with jobs, we don't think what you're doing with jobs is effective. So therefore, we're at least willing to have a discussion about this other guy. That's why the polling is so close, because on the two biggest key issues, most people believe.
Pretty much.
Most people don't believe. They don't need to talk to minorities. Everybody know what the minorities are thinking.
No,
but
they don't know what I'm thinking until they talk to me. You don't know what I'm going to say.
Yeah, they do. You voting for the president. That is.
Did you not post some videos
included.
of some people that if they talked to, they might have got an opinion they wouldn't have think they would have got?
Yes.
Okay, then. So you just contradict
5% of the minorities.
So they can go talk to their 5%. I might feel a little bit better.
But most people believe because he's not done a very good job in those areas. That truly explains why we are so close. That's why we're close. It has nothing to do with money or any of all that other stuff.
I'm not talking money.
It has to do with the fact on the two important issues out there. He has shown that he is not an expert. He has shown that what he said he could do is not possible.
Just like Mr. Clinton said, nobody, not one president could have pulled us out of the mess that we were in. It has to play its course. He has to continue to move forward with his plan. Correct. It can't just stop right now.
It can't just not just gonna happen in 4 years. And
the
people who thought they were I hate to offend people, but you're just ignorant.
All right. I see we have a caller. How you doing tonight, Antonio?
How you doing? It's Jay Real?
Yeah, this is Jay Real.
What's up, man?
I'm doing all right. Talk to me.
It's great.
Yeah.
You're talking about Obama, right?
Yeah, we are.
Do Obama know how to balance the budget?
Does he know how to balance the budget?
I think we're $1 trillion in debt or something.
Well, we're $16 trillion in debt, but we do have $1 trillion deficit this year.
$1 trillion deficit. Okay. Do he know how to balance the budget? He's educated, isn't he?
Does he know how to balance? Well, so far he has not balanced it. If that's what you're asking.
So he should kind of know how to balance the budget, shouldn't he?
He should. He hasn't done it yet, but he should.
We're gonna be in debt, won't we?
Maybe if he did, maybe we wouldn't be in debt. We'd still be in debt, but maybe we'd be getting closer to getting out of debt, perhaps.
Now, if you think a president who can't be lowly in spirit, you're Christian-based station, right? And balance the budget, become lowly and balance the budget, be humble and take up lowly classes like the basic math and balance the budget. If he's too high for himself and can't humble himself, he's too educated. He don't need to be in office.
You say he doesn't need to be office. Okay.
Because he's high-minded.
Okay, he's I guess you say he's full of himself and won't accept other people's help. Is that what you're trying to say? Kind of humble himself and accept somebody.
Humble is Christ-like in it.
Oh, okay. I'm with you. All right. Well, I appreciate that comment, Antonio. Thank you.
I saw Obama come off the airplane stepping, and he got to be humble. I said, no, he get killed like that. He's prideful. He's showy.
Who will you be voting for, sir?
I'm not voting for no one because God's not out of confusion. I'm confused.
Okay. All right. Well, we thank you for your comment, Antonio.
Take it easy.
Take it easy. Appreciate it. Appreciate it for calling in.
I love you.
I love you too, man. 407-894-1680. 407-894-1680 is the number.
Oh, you have an admirer.
Well, we all have fans, don't we?
Yeah, he has a fan.
But 407-894-1680, that's the number. But yeah, I believe he makes some interesting questions that he asks there. But yeah, but going back to what we were discussing, I think those are the two things that is the reason why the race is close. And I hear former President Bill Clinton's point that nobody could have kind of done any kind of quote unquote magic. I hear his point. But nonetheless,
do you really?
Regardless of whether or not you think he could have done or not done magic, this is where we are today, and this is what people have to judge him on. And so regardless of whether or not you think, he needs more time and blah, 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 either you got it done or you didn't. At the end of the day, is the score 84-80? Or is the score 80-84? If it's 84-80 and you were the home team and the home team got 84, well, then you lost. Okay, so it's very simple. It's not complicated. There's no excuses to be made. Well, if Johnny would have just hit that 3-pointer with a minute left, no, it's either you did or you didn't. And right now, there's a lot of people that say you haven't, and
people are idiots.
And so there you go. There you go. And even his job news is not the greatest news in the world these days.
It is what it is.
He's not. It's all indications currently don't necessarily lead to a positive outcome. But I still think it's a very good chance that he can win. I still do believe that
will
it is possible.
And of course, we got the Bain Capital man. Of course, he gonna solve everything.
He will.
He might. You never know. How you doing, Jimmy Shine? What's going on, brother?
J Real and the Real Family. How we doing tonight?
Oh, we're doing tonight. What's your comment tonight, Jimmy?
Man, oh man, oh man. I tried to sit the night out, man. I don't want to be accused of hogging all the time and hogging most of the show and all that stuff. I tried to sit the night out.
Man, you call anytime, Jimmy Shine. What's going on? Tell me what's on your mind.
I can't let this ride. It's too important a night and too important. Today's events were too important. I have thought of all of the rights we have lost since the 9/11 event. I think of the Patriot Act and the Patriot Act 1 and Patriot Act 2. And I think of all of the Nazi organizations that have come since that event, like TSA, Transportation Security Administration, and all the other organizations that have come up allegedly to fight terrorism. The excuse is, well, we need that organization to fight terrorism now because, terrorism is such a terrible thing, and these people are out to get us, and we need all of these archaic laws to govern the people and to keep terrorism away. And over the past 11 years, all of the rights that we have lost tells me more than anything else that there was an agenda in place long before this happened. Long before the 9/11 event happened, apparently there was an agenda in place. And when this thing went down and when this thing happened, that was their opportunity to roll it all out.
Yeah.
So I just want to make the point that I'm not happy. Nobody is happy about what happened 11 years ago. But what's even more important is the rights that we've lost and if we will ever get those rights back. That's why most people, when you hear most people say, we want our country back. We want our country back. That's what they're talking about. We want to go back to where we were We don't like all these organizations, all these laws that are being passed that take our rights away. And I just had to make that point, I feel.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate you calling and making that point.
What was your Facebook again, Jimmy?
It is facebook.com/Jimmy.Shine627. And I got a whole new list of postings just for 9/11. I posted one on the Real Family Talk about Chris Rock.
Yeah, I got you. I saw that. I remember that.
Oh, boy, did Chris Rock have something to say about Al-Qaeda and all that stuff. But,
yeah, I saw that post.
But, it's just really, it's pathetic. It's pathetic. A lot of people are just so turned off by Congress and the way Congress has just fallen in line. When President Bush was there, anything that President Bush put out was just rubber stamped, and they went right along with the program. And a lot of those things, I don't know if we're ever going to get our rights back. You have no rights now.
No, we're not.
We're not going to get them back.
You can forget about that, brother.
You go to the airport, if they say take your shoes off,
you better take them
take
off.
your shoes off.
Better take
if
them
they
off.
say take your pants off, you take your pants off.
That's right.
The women getting groped and touched inappropriately.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just the price you pay for flying.
That's the price of freedom, as they say.
And it's just humiliating and frustrating. And I don't think I think the American people are fed up with it. And I don't, you hear about these people talking about revolt. Revolt is our last option. A lot of people are on the edge of revolt now because they're just totally fed up. And, I just hate to see that this whole thing happen the way it did.
All right, I appreciate that, Jimmy Sean. We appreciate you calling in, man.
Thank you, sir.
No problem. Yeah, he's right. A lot of rights have been lost since 9/11, and I'd say that I don't see us getting those rights back. You consider the order that President Obama signed that just kind of doubles down on what the Patriot Act put in place, and even extends it to beyond our own borders. So I don't see us getting those rights back. It is what it is. Be careful. You can be tapped if they deem you dangerous to the country. So that is what it is, and I don't see anybody coming in and scaling any of that back
on either side.
This is exactly on either side.
And I think that was one of the biggest issues to me. Like they don't, before it was a process that you had to do to tap people's phones and not follow them, but tap their phone and monitor them, the internet and the computers and all that stuff. And now it's all they have to do is some kind of way linked to terrorism, which can easily be done. To be honest with you, it's not as hard as you think it is.
Right. All you got to do is
not as hard as you think.
All you got to do is be accused, and once you're accused, then they're gonna check you out.
You can donate money to a charity, who donates money to a charity, who donates money to a charity, who has a link to someone who is the cousin of someone who is a suspected terrorist in another country, and that link is, in lack of a better word, that's how people get charged with conspiracy.
And they use some of these laws against organizations within the country who just simply protest against the government, for that matter.
And that's how they use
so it's again, I don't think we'll get those rights back, and that is unfortunate. But it really doesn't matter who is president.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't matter who's in Congress. They're going to double down on that simply because they want to keep us, I believe, in a state of fear, as it relates to terrorism. So there's not much we can do about that. I see we have another caller on the line. How you doing tonight, Michelle?
Hello, how you doing? Hey, I just want to comment on the two callers ago that was saying that does Obama know how to balance a budget? I think when he went into a mess. We went to war that we shouldn't have gone to, that he's pretty much fixed also. But he came into a mess that someone had already created, and that has probably gone for like 16 years, and he's expected to fix it in 4 years. The only thing that he's done with not fixing the budget or allocating funds was when he gave money to the banks and to the car dealerships or whatever. I think if he had paid off all the houses that was in foreclosures, and then if there was money to be allocated under the TAR system, then that would have been fine to do that to help our economy. But he doesn't make those decisions alone. That's why he has a Congress, he has a House, a representative. He has 3 cabinets to help him to make those decisions. But now everybody's saying he's a bad president because of our economy. But he didn't make the economy the way it is. But he's expected to fix it in the short amount of time that he was there.
Ms. Michelle,
and I just want to say, I think he's competent enough to do a budget. He's an attorney.
Don't you think that bailing out the banks was a huge mistake?
I do. No. I do agree with that. I do. I do. Because if you can still afford to allow a CEO to sign off on an acquisition and make $25 million or $100 million, and you're getting so many people losing their jobs, it's not him that's doing it. It's corporate America that has our economy the way it is. It's Wall Street. But he being the leader of our country is responsible and expected to fix it. Yes, I do think he was wrong to get the bank's money. Instead, I wish he would have paid off all the houses that was in foreclosures, people that are out of jobs, some kind of funding for employment. People are losing their job because executives are making bad decisions and cost. I mean, one company lost $1 million in just bad decisions, but those corporate people are keeping their jobs. And the line or entry-level employees are losing their jobs, and they're not the decision makers.
Correct. That's corporate America at its best, and that's knowing or being in the right group or social group, you might say, where they're going to keep you around regardless, and the other people go get the bad end of the stick.
Yeah.
But I would say this: no matter who was president,
we thank you for your comment too, Michelle.
We do appreciate you, Michelle.
All right, thank you.
I would say this: no matter who was president, the banks and the automotive industry was going to get their money, and the reason is, if they didn't, we would have been way worse than y'all think we are.
Right.
I mean, because y'all really imagine the banks failing. Y'all got to understand, when the banks fail, that mean all your money, who's supposed to be insured. You know, y'all heard of the Great Depression when all the money just went away? That's what would have happened. So all those savings and stuff that you had, it would have magically disappeared. All those 401k programs and all of a sudden the FDIC wouldn't have existed no more.
Right.
That's the money would have went away. So I think it was just a situation where he had to, because when they were saying too big to fail, they were that big. They were that big. Now, I think, with Jimmy Shine, I disagree with what he was saying, whereas he was saying where people are fed up. I don't think people really are fed up, because when you're really fed up, you really start taking action. Like with the whole Occupy thing. Like I said, I had an issue with that because, okay, they did it, but now where are they at?
Nobody backed them up.
You know what happened?
It fizzled out.
I'm telling you what happened. They got jobs, so they went to work. That's what happened. All these people sitting in the park now, what do you think all these people do now? They just sitting at the house complaining? No, they at work. So they got their job, they got their comfortable life. Now they're fine. They weren't really mad. They were mad they didn't have a job. That's what they were mad at. It was a lot of people that weren't used to not having jobs. They didn't have them.
I disagree.
No, a certain group of us, we're kind of used to a little struggle here and there, so it doesn't hurt us. It doesn't bother us. It doesn't shock our everyday life.
I mean,
but when people that are not used to that, when they have that, they're going to run out. Exactly, it does take everybody. But those people who was all supposed to be the front of the movement, where are they? They're not all in jail.
If nobody's backing you up, then what can you do? If nobody cares about your cause.
What you mean? What can you do?
If it's
what
only
did King do?
1,500
what did Malcolm X do? They took bullets for it.
Don't get me started on them.
They took bullets for it.
Don't get me started on them.
Well, I will say
Both
this.
of them was affiliated.
I will say this. People, you really put yourself out there. If you're really behind something, you really believe, you're not worried about what this next person's saying. When you're talking about certain preachers in the pulpit, they don't care. They only got 10 people in their congregation. They go preach the truth. They're not going to tell you what you want to hear. They go tell you what they're supposed to tell you. They don't care.
Well, 407-894-1680 if you want to call.
Yeah, you can.
But the Occupy Wall Street movement, while it is not the massive movement that you saw previously, there are still a lot of individuals, there are still people, sort of like the Tea Party. The Tea Party doesn't take national headlines anymore, but the Tea Party is doing things to support their political positions. And in Occupy movement, while it is not, again, on the national level, there are individuals that are doing things. They were at the RNC, they were at the DNC.
I know.
So they're out there. They're not out there in the same numbers because, again, a movement is one of those things where you get a lot of people who are in the park on the bandwagon because they see a bunch of people in the park. They see a bunch of people having fun. They see a bunch of people sleeping. They see, so after
a couple of weeks, it got real.
It was
like, I'm tired of being in the park.
Exactly.
I got an apartment to go home.
But there's still a lot of core individuals out there that are doing things, even if it's not making national headlines. There's people's doing things to support the things that are important to them, whatever that may be. I see we got Karen on the phone. How you doing tonight, Karen?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing good. What's your comment tonight?
Well, actually, I just wanted to comment on what you said before. It doesn't matter who was president of the United States. It could have been Uncle Bob. Them banks and the car, they were going to be bailed out. Yeah. And then what people fail to realize, Bill Clinton said it so clearly. By the time I cleaned up the first 4 years of what the Bush man did, guess what? You finally seen results in my second term. Mm-hmm. I can't clean up everything in one term. And then what people fail to realize is you don't ever live in the term of your president except for the Great Depression. If you remember when FDR came in and we was in that Great Depression and Ford came out with the cars, guess what? He had to build roads, gas stations, mechanic shops, all that had to be. So that's how the country was able to help get out the Great Depression. And then ever since that, you sort of lagged back, and we never really went back to that. So Obama needs another term in order to clean up the mess that the Bushes created. And I don't care what anybody says. He needs another term. He really does, because I can't go and do your job, and you left a mess and think I could clean it up in one day. It's going to take a minute.
All right.
Well, I thank you for your comment, Karen. The only thing I'll say about that, I think the biggest person who has the president in this position, in my opinion, is really the president. Because the president talked a lot of noise when he was running for president against the policies of the previous president. He talked a lot of noise about what he is going to do and what's not going to happen and blah, 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 blah. And so a lot of the things that he's catching flack for has to do with things that he said, he said himself. I look at what they say as it relates to the debt that he's built. They call him on the debt because he made the statement. George Bush is almost like, he didn't use the word treason, but, he called him out for having $4 trillion in debt in 8 years. And then he comes in and now he has $5 trillion in debt in 3.5 years. People are going to call you out about it, but people are going to really slam you when you make the statement, the other guy was worse because he did that, and then now you're doing the same thing. Granted, it makes sense. You got wars that are still lagging on the books, but when you go out and when you go out and talk, and the same thing, George Bush had wars that was helping him cause to be in a deficit as well. So it's the same situation. But when you go out and braggadociously say this guy is bad because he did it, and you do the same thing, people are going to call you on it. It's expected. People are going to call you on it, especially if they don't like you, like your policies. They're going to call you on it. They're going to hammer you on it every single time. And like they do now, before they hammer you, they're going to play your clip, and then they're going to say, and you got $5 trillion, so what? The president himself. Oh, if 3.5 years from now, people aren't better off, then I don't deserve to be president. He said that in 2007, 2008. And so here we are. And people are not better off than they were prior to him becoming president. So what are they saying? Hey, you said if you weren't better off, you don't deserve it. They're calling him on his own words. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like Antonio said, his kind of being a little bit arrogant. And he was doing what he had to do. That's what I'll say about that. Or doing what at least he felt he had to do. Let's say that. So, but people are calling him on his own words. That's the reason why he gets hammered so much, because he did go out when he passed the stimulus bill. Oh, I'm going to pass the stimulus bill, and unemployment is going to be beneath 8% at a particular time. Well, here we are, and we're still at above 8%. And technically, if we calculate unemployment the way it was when he started, we're technically at 11%. So he still hasn't done the promise that he made. You know what I'm saying? So people are really just calling him on his own words, and that's the bottom line. So it was, I almost take it back to him and say, you got to be careful what you say. Isn't that what they tell us all the time? Because what you say, people are going to call you on it, and that's his problem. People are calling him on the things that he said that were going to define him as being blah, 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 this great president, blah, 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 blah. And he hasn't lived up to his own words.
Yet.
It doesn't matter. He said he was living up to his own words in 4 years. So that, again, that's his fault, because he's the one that said he could do it in 4 years. He's the one that said that he was going to do it in this time frame. He's the one that set himself up on a platform to say, I can do this. And then now he hasn't done it. And now he's saying, woe is me. I need more time and I can get there. No, you said this is what you were going to be able to do. And so now all of your opponents are going to do exactly what they are supposed to do. Call you at your word, because that's exactly what they're going to do to them as far as the president and his opponent. He's going to call his opponents on their word. And so people are just doing the same thing. They're calling him on his word. And, everybody else needs to sit back and go, hey, I don't like it. I get it. But that's what it is. You can't say something and then expect people not, especially on that level, you can't say things and expect people not to bring them back to you. It's going to happen. And that's his own fault. So, all of this, people are not being fair. No, they're calling him at his word. They're calling us at his word.
I would say this, not being a little realistic too. Now, how y'all think somebody ain't never been president will come and do all that in 4 years? Y'all come on, y'all. Y'all need to pay attention, man. We grown. Y'all had a new manager. Y'all had new managers at your job, and the previous manager got fired. Did they come in 2 weeks and flip the whole program? No. It took 6 months. It took a year. When you equate that to a man.
That's neither here nor there. If that manager says that they're going to do it,
I'm not.
Everybody
I'm not talking about that, man. I'm talking about reality. I'm not talking about words. Words don't mean nothing to me. They never have. That's why I told y'all I wasn't paying attention to all that. Back in 2008, y'all wasn't listening.
But that's not how elections run. Though,
I understand that. I'm saying, I'm just trying to tell the people you need to pay attention. This presidential race, president in general, it's a job. You have to relate it just like your job. If you get a promotion, just like for the previous person doing wrong things, you don't come in the next day and switch the whole thing. It takes time. So that's all I'm saying. I'm not talking about what he said.
And, of course, part of the election, same thing with Romney. He's talking about, I'm going to do this, that, and the other. If he gets in, nothing's going to happen. The same thing. It's going to take time. With whatever is going to happen,
and the same thing,
it's going to take time.
If he did win, the same thing is going to happen to him.
Yeah,
you said this, you said
I would
that.
say,
oh, yeah, because it's going to be the same thing.
Y'all have to understand the economy is cyclical, no matter who's in it, no matter who's president, who's in charge.
Facebook.com, Real Family Talk. Twitter, Real Family Talk. Check the website, realfamilytalk.weebly.com. Again, this seems to never be enough time. But at the end of the day, you have to stand up to what you said, and you can't take fault in people calling you at your word, because that's what they do. And, we'll get over it and move on.
OKB, Winter Garden, Orlando.